Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we have from Iron Man 3 Hot Toys Shotgun Armor. This is the Mark 40, I believe. So this was one armor that I've been hoping that Hot Toys would make for quite some time. Last year at Comic-Con they did announce and show it, which was very exciting. It went on pre-order shortly after, and I have been waiting the year since, anticipating its release. So very happy to finally have it. And box style is quite nice. It's done in that standard Iron Legion style of boxes. This is the exclusive version, comes with an exclusive item, and very happy to have it. So let's talk about the figure. You also get a set of hands, basic hands that you get with every Iron Man armor, set of fists, set of repulsor blast hands, as well as a set of articulated finger ones. I have those hands on him at the moment. They're basically what you get with every Iron Man figure, and they look quite nice. They're, nothing special. However, the paint is excellent. I'll go over the paint in more detail on the actual figure, of course, but I really love this color of this armor, and the hands definitely do represent that. Of course, you get the standard base that comes, relatively standard with all Iron Man, Iron Legion figures. Base is quite nice. I actually do like the design of it. It's pretty simple, yet it's unified and can really work for any of the armors, no matter how you want to display them. It does have a cylinder piece at the bottom. However, I think that it actually looks a bit nicer when you take that cylinder piece off. It looks more like a platform and something a little bit more realistic, which is cool. It's very simple to take the platform off, and here's underneath it how it looks without that. Just wanted to show you that. Also, if you wanted it to sit a little lower, if you were tight on space height wise and wanted to have them in a flying pose or something, and you want this to be a little bit lower to create more room for that, you can easily do so. You obviously get the pole that screws in right there, and is the articulated pole that can allow him to fly and be in flight poses and things like that. The exclusive item that comes with this shotgun can plug into the base at any of these ports, and it doesn't just have to be this base. You can use any of the Iron Legion bases, considering they are the same, and it just fits in very easily. It has it has 3 little pivots there, and they just slide in to the ones right here, and you can have a nice little extension for the base. Let's take a closer look at that Python armor. Alright, so taking a look at Python. Python is an armor that they have made previously in a large scale, of course, and now with some of the Iron Man figures they are releasing these little figures that are meant to just kind of attach to it, mainly for pictures and things like that, to make them look like they're in the distance, flying like in the background somewhere. A neat idea, and it's a concept that I thought was pretty neat. Nothing I was too looking forward to. However, getting it in person, I actually liked it quite a bit. It's bigger than I expected as well. I was expecting a really small little armor, and this, although it is small, it is bigger than I was expecting. The armor itself is about 3 inches, I would say, and then you do have the little flame bit at the bottom that adds a bit more. And this pole is very articulated. Of course, you do have the articulated stem area that is fully articulated, and actually it works a little better than the normal ones, which is nice. And then at the top there, you have a swivel right here, a hinge here, and a swivel right there, so you can really do whatever you'd like with this Iron Man armor, which is really quite cool. The armor itself doesn't have any articulation. Its little flame piece is translucent, painted very nicely, and the figure just in general is painted quite well too, so that is nice. As you can see, it's it's a mixture of, I believe the Python armor is a Silver Centurion head with a Mark 7 torso and arms, and then the legs from Heartbreaker. I believe that's the breakdown on Python. But overall, it's a nice little exclusive item. I'm happy I have it. Actually, getting it makes me want the other 2 that came with the tank armor just as backgrounds in my Iron Legion display. So it does make me want to get some more. However, it's certainly not necessary. If you don't get the exclusive one, you're not going to miss out on a whole bunch. It's a nice little extra thing to get, as well as it is quite unique too, which I do like. He does come with several battle damage parts. I will go over these in detail once I put them onto the actual figure. However, I do like the arrangement of damage parts that he comes with. It's a lot better than your standard, just a damage mask and a damage chest. You do get a bit more than that. However, I would like to see a figure eventually that will come with just a lot of extra damage parts, so it could really replace the thigh areas, all the legs, and things like that in the arms. The Mark 7 got probably the closest to that, or at least pretty close to it, and that was really great. So hopefully eventually they'll start making figures that come with more battle damage parts. I was also hoping for a damaged leg that it was interchangeable, that had that was basically his leg cut off, so you could see actually Tony Stark's leg. He did spend some of the fight with his leg cut off, a very short amount of it, but he still did in the movie, so it would have been nice to be able to recreate that here. But I do like the damaged parts that he comes with, and let's get him onto the actual armor. Alright, so you do get several battle damage pieces. That's something I really do like about this armor. I really enjoy the Iron Man armors that come with some battle damage pieces. Just gives you multiple different display options and makes the figure a little bit more dynamic and interesting, which is nice. So let's go over the damage pieces on this. You do have a damaged faceplate, as you can see, that has multiple scratches and even like a little scratch at the top there at the visor, but then mainly really deep scratches on the bottom of the mask as well as on the top corner of the forehead. You go down, you do have a battle damage chest plate. The chest plate doesn't have a ton of damage. It's mainly, there is some sculpted damage in there. It looks like there's actually like shots in his armor, although this armor was never shot in the movie, so I'm not quite sure what those are supposed to be. However, there is some slight damage there, and then it comes with an extra kind of rib area that is kind of been burnt off. Basically, you have the edges of it are kind of red, which gives it that like it's just been melted off, which is really cool. The only thing I don't like is that there's green mixed in there, so it kind of comes across as like it's rusted, like this thing is so old that it's falling apart because it has rusted pieces. So I feel like if the green wash wasn't there, that wouldn't be the case. It wouldn't appear that way, but maybe that's just me, but that's kind of just the impression that I get while looking at it, that I really didn't expect that I'd have. So that is a bit disappointing. However, it is you know, it's a very minor complaint, and it does look a bit odd, but nothing too bad. And then in the abdomen section, you do have some more damage. This is really cool. Usually, Iron Man armors don't come with damage like this low with the abs. Usually, it's just the head and the chest plate. So I do like this as well, and it does extend quite far, and it is accurate to the movie, of course. And there are some places that are a bit hollowed out in the wiring and all the mechanics there to allow for some new lights to come out, which is really quite cool. So let's show the lights now, so you can see specifically the lights in the abdomen section. Alright, before we talk about the armor, let's talk about the Tony Stark head sculpt. I believe this is the same head sculpt that we've been getting with most, if not all, of the Iron Legion figures. I think it's the same thing. The only difference is a different paint. Obviously, he is a bit battle damaged, similar to the Silver Centurion, which I really do like a lot. You know, it makes it very interesting when there is battle damage, and even if you have his armor quite clean, you can still have the battle damage, and it looks pretty good, because in this fight, he obviously was switching from multiple armors. This was the third one that he wore in the end fight, so you know, he's already been beat up a bit, so you know, it makes sense that he can wear a clean armor with a battle damage face, and then obviously with the battle damage parts it will accentuate it as well. So very nice. Really do like the battle damage painting. There's a bit under his eye there, above his eye, at the bridge of his nose, on his cheek, and then at the bottom of his lip, which is quite well done. The facial hair looks a bit more prominent than usual, and I haven't took this head sculpt and compared it to the others, so this is just my eye from what I remember from the other Iron Man head sculpts. I haven't actually done a comparison. However, just to my eye, it looks like the mustache and beard is a bit darker than it usually is. It's very prominent here, but overall the head sculpt is done quite nicely. It's just, it's not anything new because we've seen it before, but it is nice that we do get some battle damage there. I do prefer that rather than the clean head sculpts, just because they're a bit more interesting this way. Alright, let's talk about the actual armor. So the armor design is awesome. I really do love the design for the shotgun armor. I think it's quite cool. Going over the actual head sculpt, it has a very narrow jaw area, and then it also has the visor over the eyes. Originally, I didn't like the visor over the eyes, like when this armor was first shown, not even Hot Toys, just the armor in general, but I've certainly come around to it. It is actually pretty cool, and because this is a high-velocity suit, the theory of it is that, you know, this would be taking in some extreme speeds, so the visor is just an extra protection to make sure that the eye sockets don't kind of bust in on themselves themselves. So, you know, it makes sense from that angle, but just from a looks perspective as well, I do think it is quite nice. Like I said, the paint on this guy is awesome. I really love the paint. I'm a big fan of this paint scheme. Maybe it's just me, but I think that it's quite nice. In the movie, he looked very silverish, and I believe that that was just because, you know, the fight was in the dark, and I think the bluish areas kind of just blended into the night. So mainly what you saw was the silver areas, which is why it looked like a completely silver armor, but in reality it was this bluish form, which is really cool. It's nice. It's not even a bright silver, it's a kind of like a brushed steel silver, which looks really good. And then you have this excellent metallic purple and blue kind of combination as far as the rest of it, with some very small white details on it. I love it. Probably my favorite favorite armor just from a paint perspective of all the Iron Man armors. Really love it. And I do actually like the physical design of the suit as well. I like that the collarbones are very high. It gives him a very broad-shouldered, angry look. And then it's a very sharp armor. There's not a whole lot of rounded edges. It's a lot of very sharp panels, which I like a lot. And it would make sense because it has to cut wind and be faster. You know, that's the point of this armor. So I think that function comes across in the design. And you know, I'm not quite sure how well my camera's picking up this color. It's a very unique and reflective color, so my camera, it looks like it's giving it more of a bluish look than it is. It does actually have a lot of purple in it. I don't have the back panel on right now just so I can manipulate the light up function a little bit easier, but as you can see, it's very nicely cut. I like this little area too, where it has like the vent and the panels kind of come out and then go down, and you have it even here in the back panel as well, where you can really see like a jet blast shooting out. It would have been really cool if he came with like a jet piece that you could pop in there and be like a fire accessory. That would be pretty neat. But overall, like I said, I love the paint and I love the overall design of the armor. It's super unique, and not only is it just cool looking, but it also makes sense for what this armor is supposed to be. So overall, just as far as looks wise go, it's stunning. You know, look at the pictures. If you like it, you're gonna love it in hand, and if you don't, you know, this is not the armor for you. If you're looking for something a little more traditional, this obviously isn't going to be a very traditional looking armor in the looks or color department, either way. So overall, if you like this design, you're gonna love it in person, and if you don't, you know, it's not going to be one for you. Going over articulation, articulation is really good on this guy. Just Hot Toys is improving on their articulation with Iron Man figures with every figure, which is really nice and actually quite surprising. It's one of the things that keeps these figures fresh and not just appearing to be just the same old basically, considering they usually come with the same hands and the same base. So, you know, it could definitely easily get quite boring. However, they do keep updating the engineering factor in these figures, which keeps them fresh, which is quite nice. Head articulation is disappointing. It's the only disappointing part of this figure. Just when his head is leveled, this is about as far as it turns. It barely turns, which is definitely a huge shame. However, it looks up very far, and when it looks up, it's actually pushing this little plate down. So that's a nice little piece of engineering. You can look up very far, and once he's looking up, then you can swivel the head a lot more. But still, I would have liked more left and right head movement, but the up and down works very nicely. However, it is quite restricted on doing anything else. Shoulders are great, has the same pulling out function as the die-cast, as well as like Star Boost, where you can like pop out the shoulders. There you go. You can see they can extend quite far, which gives it more range because there is a joint in there and can allow him to point his arm inwards a lot further. It's a nice little design feature. However, I find myself never using it. I never use it for shotgun. I never used it for Star Boost. So although it's a nice idea and it's a great way to improve the articulation, I don't find that it does anything super helpful for me personally. That's just me though. Some people might find that joint very useful, but obviously he has ball hinge shoulders. The shoulder pad doesn't get in the way. You can swivel 360, it won't matter. Then you have a nice bicep swivel, works excellent. Double hinge elbows, you have a regular hinge here, it ratchets here. This is as far as the bend as you can get, which is a bit more than 90 degrees, which is quite nice. Ball jointed wrists, and then depending on which hands you have on him, you can have the articulated fingers, so you have full articulation in the actual fingers. The torso, on the instructions, it does say that it can rotate side to side, and it looks like it can rotate pretty far. I can't get mine to rotate. I don't know if it's just that it's a little stuck or what the issue is, but like it can start to go, but it just kind of goes back. So I don't want to force it anymore. As well as you do have the torso, abdomen plates that are stuck in there that I don't want to pop out. However, I'm not quite sure what the restrictions are on this torso. I would definitely like to hear it. You can extend it and get a little bit forward and back, but really not too much. Where this guy really just absolutely excels is the thigh articulation. You get the panels back here that can lift up, which is quite nice. That's a new feature that they're doing on most of the Iron Man figures that I really love. And then this back panel can also come out a bit just based on when you articulate them. And just that alone can give it a decent amount of range, and it can certainly give it a good outward range. However, what makes it even better is the fact that you can drop the thigh, which I love. I love the function where you can drop the thigh. They did it on Ultron and most of the Iron Man figures, and it comes in so handy. Look at that kick. Beautiful. And if you tilt it to the side even more, you can get a huge kick with this, which is excellent. So the thigh articulation is basically limitless, which is awesome. And for an armored figure, that's really impressive. So I love that. I hope they continue doing it, which they seem to be doing, because just about all the figures now have that. But this one has it where it can really extend even further than usually it can, which is nice. You have swivel at the thighs. Then there's double hinge knees. It is all on ratchets. As you can see, you get a full bend there. The feet do extend out a bit, and they can be pivoted slightly. As you can see, you can get a slight pivot in there. They can bend forward, like a fair amount. Oh, I guess that's pretty good. Yeah, it can bend forward pretty nicely. It can't bend up too far, but you can get a little bit, and then there is a bit of a toe action there. So overall articulation is pretty exceptional. The only place where it's really lacking is the head. And then other than that, it has pretty great articulation. The torso is a bit limited. However, I'm not quite sure if it's just mine that I'm not pushing it enough, or if it is just limited for all copies. But the torso does seem to be a bit limited. Overall, though, sculpt is excellent. Paint is out of this world, in my opinion. Maybe it's just I'm fond of the colors, but I love the paint so much. And then articulation is great as well. So it really checks all the boxes for me personally, but that just might be my personal taste. It might depend, varied on person to person as far as what type of Iron Man armor they prefer. Alright, so he has some pretty traditional lights. He has lights just in the palms of the arc reactors. I'm not going to turn those on because there's nothing special. We've seen those with all the Iron Man's armors. But then he does have lights in the chest, the abdomen, and the eyes, which is very cool. So as you can see there, I don't have the lights in the eyes on at the moment, but you can see the light in the chest and abdomen. The chest light is very nice, it's quite bright, and it is in a rectangle fashion. And even with the light on, you can see the detail in the arc reactor. You can't see it right now just on camera because the light is coming in too harshly, but in real life you can see it. And then the light at the torso is quite neat. It is blue as compared to the white of the arc reactor and eyes, which I don't really like. It kind of looks strange that there's like different colors to the lights. I guess they're kind of going for like kind of wires being sharded and that kind of electricity type of light, as opposed to a actual supposed to be lit up arc reactor and eyes. Maybe that's what they were going for, but it does look a little odd. However, I am happy that they did include that. These lights are turned on just by one switch. You can go on at the back, and it's just a simple switch. The head has an interesting feature where you can switch the eyes on. However, when the lights will only come on once the faceplate is on it, which is very unique. I do like that a lot, and it is quite cool. The only disappointing part is that the switch is at the bottom of his head. So in order to turn the switch off, you have to pop off his head and turn the switch off, which is annoying if you want to display him with the mask on, but not have the eyes lit up. So it's an interesting feature, but it's still a pain to get to the actual switch, because eventually you're going to want to display him with the mask on and with the lights off, even if you want to eventually turn the lights back on. But yeah, there you go. The light works quite nicely, and when you have just the regular parts on him, the same deal will happen with the head. The only difference is you won't have the light in the abdomen section. It won't be visible, but you'll still get the arc reactor and then the eyes, as well as on his back. I do have the back plate off just because That's how you get to the switch, but the back section does have a light on, which is very cool as well. The lights in the back are a little unnecessary, however, it's kind of fun when they do include them, so it is quite nice that he has them. So there's there's definitely some unique light up functions to this armor as compared to the other Iron Legion armors. Alright, here's a little size comparison with some of the other Iron Legion armors. We have Gamma, and then Silver Centurion compared with the one we're talking about today, Shotgun. So very nice. So he compares very nicely to them. He's a bit tall. He's slightly taller than than an average for your like Silver Centurion. Obviously not as tall as one of the bulkier ones like Gamma. However, he does fit in nicely, and just these three together look really cool. I don't know. I love the concept of the different colored armors, and they all have like a silverish as a base. However, they have a lot of paneling that's a very opposite color, green, blue, and red. So very cool. These three look awesome together, I have to say, and he does scale nicely in with the other Iron Legion figures, as you'd expect. So overall, this is an excellent Iron Legion armor. Definitely would recommend it for any big Iron Man collector. It definitely checks all the boxes for me personally. I like the sleek design. I think it's very cool. I like the sharp edges. Like I've been saying throughout this review, I'm really fond of the coloring. I think it's fantastic. And then functional wise, it's really nice as well. Articulation in some places really soars. In some places it's limited, more limited than others, like the head area. However, in the majority of places, it either matches your expectations or it exceeds them, especially in that thigh area as far as articulation goes. And accessories, he comes with your more than average, which is great. With Iron Man figures, we get the same base, the same basic hands, and usually that's it for the Iron Legion armors. However, this one does come with multiple battle damage armors or pieces, as well as he comes with a Tony Stark head sculpt, and it's a battle damage Tony Stark head sculpt, which is quite cool as well. And then if you do buy the exclusive version, you get a nice exclusive little kind of addition to kind of go with the display of a mini Python, which is cool. So overall, love this armor. Personally, I think it's fantastic. If you're not a fan of the coloring or the design, you're not going to like this one. However, if you are a fan of it, when you get it in hand, it's definitely going to impress you, and you're definitely going to be very happy that you do have it in your collection. And it's a very uniquely colored one as well, so it will stand out from the others and add some more diversity in the Iron Legion collection. I'm very happy I have it, and I would definitely recommend it for any big Iron Legion fans. So there you go, that's my review of the Iron Man 3 Hot Toy Shotgun Armor. Thanks so much for watching.